Hey, how you doing? So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out in just a few weeks. Maybe one of the last great Marvel films we'll ever get. But that's a whole nother video for another day. So, I've been rewatching Guardians 1, Volume 2, as well as Infinity War and Endgame. And the other night I was watching Endgame, and it made me realize there's a lot that can be improved upon in this film while keeping what's great about it great. So this is what I would do to fix some of the plot holes I found in Endgame. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, how you would fix it, so on and so forth. Let's get into it. So I'm not rewriting the entire movie and basically just going to go over what's changing specifically in the second half, as it's really going to focus on Thanos. I want to make him more in touch with the Thanos we got in Infinity War and rewrite some of that, as well as Bruce and Hulk's resolution that happened off screen to give us Professor Hulk. That's just lazy writing. We're going to add that in, as well as the snap that revives everyone and how it's Thor's redemption. So Thor is going to be the one to revive everyone. Let's see how that plays out, as well as the final battle. I was a little disappointed by the final battle. We're going to make it a little more strategic, give it a little bit more of a Lord of the Rings feel, and hopefully make it a little more grand and climactic. So to keep me from rambling on, we're breaking this up into the 3-act structure. And yes, I did make this on PowerPoint, and yes, I am recording this in my car on my lunch break. So, for the first act, I really wouldn't change a lot because I did like the first act of Avengers Endgame. I loved how we got to sit with the characters and really feel the weight of the snap. However, I did not like Professor Hulk developing off screen. So, for my version of Endgame, we're going to see Bruce Banner at the diner. He's not Professor Hulk, he's just Bruce Banner. He hasn't transformed into the Hulk since the events of Infinity War. And honestly, he's not upset about it because that was his goal all along. So he hasn't been the Hulk in over 5 years. So the second act, the time heist, is mostly where I'm going to be making these changes. I did like the time heist, and if I could make a 5-hour-long movie, I would keep a lot of these scenes. But for the sake of keeping the runtime to 3 hours, I'm going to be removing some of the non-essential ones. Like, for example, the Hulk talking to the Ancient One, I didn't think was completely necessary. Or Thor talking to his mom. I think that scene could have been summed up by after Thor and Rocket acquire the Reality Stone, he just simply tries to summon the hammer, and when he receives the hammer, he looks down disappointed at the fact he's still worthy. He's unsure of why he's still worthy. I would still absolutely keep Steve and Tony going back to the military base, as I felt like that was a great moment and sequence for both their character arcs. But some scenes will be cut in order to add others. For example, Nebula will inform the Avengers that they can't go back to 2014 to get the Power Stone. They have to go back farther, over 500 years, so that way they don't run into Thanos and his empire. When we go back 500 years, we'll see a young Thanos. This Thanos is still raw and recovering from the devastation of Titan that he just witnessed. His people are dead. He's the last survivor, and he's beginning his crusade to what he believes is to save the people of the universe by slaughtering half of them. We get a scene of Thanos with his band of mercenaries. He doesn't have an empire yet or any massive ships. He literally started from the ground up with his bare hands. And he's reluctant. As this is his first planet, he doesn't want to kill the people, wiping out half the population. But he's reminded of the fortune teller that told him when he was a young man while Titan was crumbling that he will be the one to save the universe. He watches, not because he wants to, but because he has to. Tears stream down his cheeks as he watches as half the people die. The rest of the time heist goes about the same as the movie. Everyone gets their stones. Black Widow sacrifices herself. However, when Nebula, her transmitter goes off from the technology in her brain, it signifies this younger Thanos. He says it's impossible, that he hasn't even made this technology yet, as his ship is giving a beeping, but he flies over and kidnaps Nebula. During interrogation, he again unlocks her memory core to show all of her memories and watches as his full, beautiful plan comes to fruition. He smiles as his head is cut off, same as the original film. So the halfway point of the film, we have the Avengers back in their stronghold with all 6 Infinity Stones, but Clint reveals that Natasha sacrificed herself for the Soul Stone. This makes Bruce Banner begin to feel uneasy, and he feels the Hulk beneath him start to growl. Both him and the Hulk love Natasha, so I think her death should be the thing that unifies them. Hulk begins to transform, freaking out, and as the Avengers are trying to calm him down and contain the 6 Infinity Stones, the time machine goes off again. But this time, it's not Nebula. It's the younger Thanos. Thanos confronts the Avengers. Again, he's like, think early 20s version of the character. So he's still young and raw, maybe a little more emotional than what we saw previously. But this Thanos confronts them, saying that he's here for the stones. I would have Thanos say something along the lines of the speech that Steve heard in Civil War that made him rebel against the Sokovia Accords. For example, planting himself like a tree even if the entire universe is telling him no, he's sticking to his beliefs. Steve and Tony would look at each other as they've felt this way before, so they understand Thanos. I would have Thanos genuinely trying to reason with the Avengers, explaining his logic, and Steve and Tony kind of listen to him because they know what he's capable of and they try to work it out. But the Hulk goes into rage mode, attacking Thanos, knowing he's why Natasha's dead. A fight breaks out as the Infinity Stones become hot potatoes, going from character to character. Each individual one is used. I really like the Infinity War fight where Thanos is using the Infinity Stones individually. So, for example, Thor could attach the Power Stone to his axe and make it more powerful. Or maybe Thanos gets the Space Stone, or Rocket gets the Time Stone. In this fight, the Infinity Stones are used individually, which I think would be really cool to see one more time. But the Avengers still aren't enough, as Thanos has more knowledge of the Infinity Stones than them. So, we get a sneak peek into Bruce's psyche as him and the Hulk have a conversation in their own little realm. They both want to get justice for Natasha and decide to put their differences aside and work together, becoming Professor Hulk. Completely in control of his body in the Hulk form, Bruce is able to take down Thanos as he's improved his fighting skills. While this is going on, Tony, Cap, and Thor have assembled the Infinity Gauntlet, and Thor decides he will be the one to revive everyone. Thor needs to redeem himself, needs to do something right for once in his life. He goes into Thunder God mode as lightning erupts, striking the ground and electrifying his body as his eyes glow as he snaps his fingers, reviving all the people that died from Infinity War across the universe. I wanted the snap to have a lot more stakes than in the original film, because in the original film, when they're snapping to revive everyone, it's just the Avengers standing around in a room in the compound just talking about it. And then, of course, Hulk does it, and that's it. Whereas I think there'd be a lot more tension and stakes if there was like a ticking time bomb type scenario in which Thanos is attacking them as it's happening, and thus making it a lot more exciting. After the blast, with Thor reviving everyone, the shockwave knocks everyone down. Thor's unconscious. Thanos takes advantage of this. He goes to grab the Infinity Gauntlet, but is stopped, only able to grab the Space and the Time Stone as Hulk continues to attack him. He uses the Space Stone to disappear, but right before he does, he says, "I might not be able to stop you, but he can." Then we see where Thanos is transported. He's transported to the Garden Planet from the beginning of the film, and he uses the Time Stone to resurrect the older Thanos, the one that had his head cut off. Using the Time Stone, he's able to bring him back to life and restore him, healing his injuries. But there's still some scarring from the initial snap at the end of Infinity War on the side of his face and his arm to let us know that this Thanos is the previous one. Okay, so they have a brief discussion. The younger Thanos lets him know he's gone back in time and restored his army as well to its peak power back in 2014, and that he's trusting the older Thanos to finish the mission before handing him the double-sided sword to allow him to kill him. Because the prophecy said there would only be one Thanos, and they're sticking to it because that's their mission. One of my biggest priorities in my notes for redoing Thanos was resurrecting the one from Infinity War and not pulling one from another timeline. Because while it's the same character, they don't have the same experiences and memories with our heroes, and thus makes the battle less personal. So I want to definitely bring back the original Thanos and keep his motivations the same. Moving into the third and final act, the climax. The Avengers are recovering from their previous fight. We can have Hawkeye call his family, we have an emotional scene, let all the heroes know that they revived everyone, but it's short-lived, as Thanos has used the Space Zone to teleport his ship to Earth to directly attack the Avengers compound, just like in the regular film. As our heroes come out of the rubble, we have Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man standing seeing Thanos below. Iron Man uses his comms to connect with Professor Hulk and Ant-Man, asking if the time machine is still working and for them to send the Infinity Stones through, the ones they have at least. Professor Hulk says he's going to need an hour or two for them to hold off Thanos in order for him to have enough time to fix the time machine, even with Ant-Man's help. I want to emphasize that the climax is going to be a siege rather than a regular battle. I think this will work well because it allows for us to easily understand the geographical locations, and it's an easy concept. Fix the time machine, hold off Thanos, you guys get the idea. My last change with Thanos is going to be his confrontation with the trio at the end of Endgame. I want it to be more reflective of his philosophy from Infinity War, where he thinks he's the good guy and that the Avengers are the villains. I thought that was the most interesting part about Thanos. Right, and his plan at Endgame to just tear the universe apart, shred them atom by atom, and then rebuild it, killing everyone along the way, just doesn't reflect this at all. So instead, his new philosophy is he's going to say something along the lines of, I'm grateful. I'm grateful you've shown me that there are other universes that need to be saved, other people that need my help. And once I'm done assembling the stones, I will cleanse every universe, saving everyone along the way. I won't stop until every multiverse has been saved. I like this also because it's a good segue into the next phase, the multiverse phase. So Thanos displays his plan. He's going to snap away half of existence in all the multiverses, not just this universe. This way, the Avengers can never stop him, the stones will be destroyed in every universe, and he can truly save humanity forever. Iron Man calls him a madman, and then Thanos turns it back on him. He calls them villains. He says, you and the Wizard had the Infinity Stones for how long? You all had the chance to use the Infinity Stones to help your people. But did you? You have poverty, you have sickness, you have war, and yet none of you used the Infinity Stones to help your people. At least I'm doing something, while you all sat back and watched your people suffer, making them seem like the villains. For once, Tony Stark is speechless. He remembers the first Iron Man film and the lengths he went to help his people, and sees that's what Thanos is trying to do. But yet, him, Thor, and Captain America refuse to let him go through with his plan and slaughter trillions, so they fight Thanos. While this is going on, Hulk and Ant-Man remove the rubble from the time machine and work on fixing it. Ant-Man shrinking down to help fix the circuit boards. Rocket, Rhodey, and Hawkeye are also recovering from the blast, and they have a plan to break into Thanos' ship and steal the Time Stone and the Space Stone. We have small scenes of them doing this. They hop into the Milano rocket's spaceship and go up and steal the stone. They're confronted by Gamora and Nebula, and it's very similar to the original Endgame, how it plays out with the old Nebula shooting the new Nebula before she can rat them out. The rest of the film plays out much the same. The trio engage in a fight with Thanos. They aren't strong enough, and even with Captain America picking up the hammer, it's still not enough, as Thanos breaks his shield, and Captain America is the sole survivor standing between Thanos' army and the time machine. One of the last changes I would have is a homage to Captain America in the first Avengers, where he's directing the Avengers, telling them where to go, like telling Iron Man to take the perimeter, Hawkeye to take the high ground, and Hulk to smash, right before they get into their big battle. I would have him do the same thing, but this time with the different groups of armies, like telling the Wakandans to take an offensive maneuver to the left and the Asgardians to the right to do a pincher maneuver, or telling the sorcerers from Doctor Strange's temple to protect the time machine, so on and so forth. There's a lot of different things we could do. And I think the battle could have been a little cleaner if it was a siege, so they're protecting it. As one by one, Thanos' army pushes and pushes, and as the heroes work together, they finally seem to have the advantage, until Thanos begins to rain down fire from his ship. All hope seems lost until the heroes look up to the sky, and we see Captain Marvel come in with the entire fleet of Nova ships from the first Guardians film. She's assembled the entire galaxy, at least all of their armed forces, to help Earth's mightiest heroes take down Thanos and avenge the losses of everyone that's died in the galaxy. By the way, we're recasting Brie Larson. I don't care who. Put a wet mop in. I really don't care. And the movie would end the same, with Iron Man sacrificing himself. I love the ending, and to save the entirety of the MCU, and Steve getting his happy ending. Thank you so much. If you got this far and listened, let me know in the comments if you liked it, if you didn't like it, what you would have changed. If you did like the video, I'd appreciate if you press that like button and maybe subscribe. We try to do this stuff often, so let us know what you would like us to fix or write out in the future. And thank you so much. We'll see you next time.